Belgrade is known for having some of the world's most boisterous sports fans, but it does also have several one-of-a-kind sports venues. So let's check out the stadiums and arenas of Belgrade, Serbia. Stadion Partizana. Belgrade was the capital of Yugoslavia back in the day, and FK Partizan, the club that calls this place home, was basically the football wing of the Yugoslav army. In fact, the army actually helped build the stadium. The club purchased the stadium from them just a few years before the breakup of Yugoslavia, and they still own it today. It's a multi-purpose stadium that isn't in the best condition, so it probably isn't a great fit for one of the country's biggest football clubs. And there have been several proposals for Partizan to build a new stadium. But as of now, it's still their home and it's still the temple of football in the eyes of Partizan fans. Hala Alexander Nikolic. This place has been described as an architectural icon of Belgrade, and I can see why. That exterior is certainly unique. The venue is named after Alexander Nikolic, who is one of Serbia's greatest ever basketball players / coaches. Oddly enough, the best current day Serbian basketball player is called Nikola Jokic. I can imagine that in 30 years' time there'll be a lot of people confusing Nikolic as a shortened version of the name Nikola Jokic. Anyway, the interior was given a facelift in 2019. There's still no center hung video board, but there is a center court video board. That must make jump ball a bit awkward. Next door is a very unusual looking ice arena called Leena Dorana Pia. This exterior is reminiscent of one of those big slides that you might see at a carnival or something. The lopsided roof is indicative of the fact that just one side of the rink has a stand along it. The venue has recently had a bit of a refresh and it's looking a lot brighter and, fresher. As you can see, the public are welcome to skate around in here, for a small fee. Grodsky Studi in Zemun. It doesn't get that much more simple than a stadium like this, which consists of a symmetrical ring of seating that surrounds the track, that in turn surrounds the field. There's no covered seating to speak of. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. It looks like 11 or so seats are undercover. But yeah, you do see a lot of these types of stadiums in former communist countries in particular. However, much like the Yugo, Serbia's finest automobile, these stadiums' heyday is well and truly over. Hala Sportova Ranko Zeravica. You'll notice that the exterior of this circular building is comprised of plenty of glass, and directly behind that glass is the seating bowl itself, which is nice. It means you can see the trees, the sky, and if you're lucky you might even see a pigeon fly headfirst into those windows. Silly birds don't know about glass. All of this whilst the spectators are being completely protected from the elements, which is of course pretty important for basketball and almost as important for concerts and whatnot. Stadion FK Vostovac. At first glance there seems to be something off with this stadium. What could it be? Is it the colour scheme? Or the fact that it was built on the roof of a shopping centre? I'm not sure, but it's probably the latter. It's not really something you see every day. Unless you live in these apartments, of course. As strange as it is, it does make perfect sense. And it also makes perfect dinar. Anyway, as for the design of the stadium itself, well, the roof is not cantilever, so there are plenty of pillars obstructing the view. But I think we can forgive them for that given its unique situation. Also, the stands are elevated considerably, meaning there are these big concrete walls along the sidelines. Other than that though, it's not all that different from a typical boutique modern stadium. Stadion Rajko Mitic. This place is not only home to the country's biggest club, but it also serves as the primary home of the Serbian national team. And for good reason, it's nearly double the size of the second largest stadium in Serbia. Back in the early days when the capacity was coming from mostly standing room, it could accommodate well over 100,000 spectators. It's about half that now. The design consists of one big sunken asymmetrical bowl of seating, which is sheltered by a wraparound roof. They opted for a sunken design in order to save money on construction, but while they were digging away at all that stone, there was actually a concern that it would cause a landslide and destroy nearby houses. That wasn't the case, but there might be some demolition work in the coming years, as Red Star are considering constructing a modern stadium nearby. Speaking of nearby, I should mention that this place is just over 500 meters from Stadion Partizana, home of Red Star's arch rivals. Stadion Jokic. I feel like I say this in every one of these city videos, but this stadium doesn't quite meet the minimum capacity for this video. I included it because it is set to be expanded to a capacity of 7,000 or 8,000. Those plans are yet to be finalized, but I'd imagine it will include the addition of a stand at the ends, at least at the southern end where there is currently nothing but grass and trees. I'd also assume they'd build a roof for this stand while they're at it. I still think it's a pretty decent stadium as is. Seems like a nice location as well. Stark Arena. Geez, the arenas in this city all seem to have a distinctive exterior. Here, it consists of little more than concrete and glass. It's very grand and somewhat intimidating. Before they added all the colourful love heart laden branding, it truly looked like some sort of evil lair. But it is fitting that it's ominous looking because it's an ominous prospect to play here for visiting teams. Not only is it the largest arena in the country, the largest in the Balkans, but it's also the largest arena in the entirety of Europe. You know, if you disregard those with a rugby or football field within. It has hosted crowds of nearly 25,000 before, which is well above its official capacity. I guess they just let some kids sit up in the rafters. Stadion Omladinski. Omladinski means youths, and youth is certainly not a word you'd otherwise associate with this stadium. It's 67 years old and looks every little bit of it. In fact, the club has had to hold certain games elsewhere due to its condition. Still, I think it looks like a nice place to watch a game. In some ways, it's like a smaller, less developed version of Red Star's ground, with the added benefit of being able to watch the game from up here under the shade of the trees on a warm Belgradian day. So serene. Stadion Tasmaidan. We've already seen the stadium built onto the roof of a shopping centre, but this might still somehow be the most unusual stadium in the city. It basically serves the purposes of an indoor arena, but it's outdoors. It's hosted hockey, basketball and volleyball. It was made from stone brought in from a Croatian island. And trust me, Croatia has plenty of stone to spare. It's probably the rockiest place I've ever been. Having said that, I've yet to visit Philadelphia. But yeah, the stands are just stone and nothing else. No actual seats. Which gives it a bit of an ancient look, in a good way. Next door, there's not only an outdoor swimming pool of note, but an indoor swimming pool, with huge windows that offer a view out to the outdoor swimming pool. So really the indoor pool is the place to be. You get two for the price of one. And those were the very interesting stadiums of Belgrade. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a good one.